Hi, I'm Sam Porozok, and I am the artist and writer of Comic Sam's. Comic Sam's is a pun on the font Comic Sans, and it's actually also a joke because I use my own font when I make these comics. It's my own handwriting turned into a font, so therefore Comic Sans, Comic Sam's, you get the idea. I've always loved comic books. Ever since I was really young, my dad would send me comics when I was away at camp during the summer. So all sorts of stuff like DC, Marvel, always loved that, as well as, the Saturday morning cartoons. So I was really excited at the opportunity to start my own. So Comic Sam's all started my sophomore year when Ted Thomas from ENN reached out to me and said that they were looking for the opportunity to start adding cartoons to the comic. And I was really happy to jump on that opportunity. So every time I start my comic, I'll get an email or a message on Slack from the editors, and they tell me that they're looking for a comic this week about, X, Y, or Z. For instance, maybe we're talking about basketball or women's history that week, and so they say, just try and do a comic related to that if you can, and usually there's one there that I find some inspiration for wordplay. I would say once I have my idea for my comics, it only takes about an hour to, do the rough draft, get that drawn and colored in. So my process with creating the comics is I'll often think of the idea after I hear kind of the subjects we're working with, then I will sketch it in pencil, just on some lined paper usually, then I'll upload that to Illustrator, I'll essentially trace over it with the digital drawing process, and then color that in. I would say one of my greatest inspirations for the newspaper comics that I do is an old webcomic called Brawl in the Family. That was by Matthew Taranto. I just really liked the way that he would do these one-off gags, a lot of visual jokes, a lot of wordplay, and if you've seen my comics, you definitely see where that comes into play. One of the first comics I ever wrote was a move-in day comic, and it was a joke about how, freshmen stereotypically bring way too much to their dorms, and seniors on the opposite end just don't have very much to move in at all. So it was a freshman with just an enormous stack of boxes reaching to the sky and asking the other ones for help finding his dorm. I think that comics can be used in a lot of ways. I definitely use them to entertain people and kind of give them a lighthearted thing to laugh at. I know a lot of people definitely tell more dramatic stories, but I'm definitely more so someone who likes to just keep it light and keep it funny. Ever since starting the comic, the response has been really positive, and people are just very kind. I guess they wouldn't go out of their way to tell me they don't like the comic, but everyone really seems to think they're funny and appreciates just the little extra flavor it adds to the paper. It'd be super cool if someday I got to do kind of an anthology of my comics, but right now I do see it just as kind of doing the regular weekly one kind of comic strip, as it is a lot of work as it is. I'd be happy to talk to people if they ever want tips or, to find out how to get started on their own comics. I think that people are often too hard on themselves, and they think you need a lot of artistic ability to be a comic artist and you need to have like a razor sharp wit, but I think really just have to put yourself out there and start coming up with ideas, because everything at the beginning is going to be kind of bad, but the more you work at it, the better you'll get.